Co-creation is a process of collective ideation. It's the idea where people come together in a group and come up with new solutions to problem or challenges where everybody's engaged and everybody feels like they want to be part of it. Co-creation is based on the concept of emergence and a type of resonance between the people and the environment. So co-design, for example, or by contrast, involves users in the design of products from conceptualization to release. Co-creation is more about the visioning stage of an ideation process. And you bring together your key stakeholders and they collectively need to envision the future or redefine themselves in the present. So in creativity, we can talk about the design of spaces and processes to help draw out people's inspiration, get them to talk more fluidly together, get them to bond with each other. These are well-known facilitation techniques. But what's very rarely addressed is the state inside of people. So here at the Co-Creation Institute, we focus on the interior state of the participants to help restructure their mental quality when they come into a creative environment. So we use techniques like presence, we use generative dialogue, and we use play as the three foundations behind what we're calling resident co-creation. We've found over time that presence and mindfulness is a growing movement in leadership and in innovation circles. And there are several great organizations out there like the Presencing Institute, MIT's CoLab, the Nowhere Group out of London, and several others that have created their own trademark frameworks to drive what they call breakthrough innovation using mindfulness and presence. Here at the Institute, what we found is that there is a structure underlying each of these frameworks. And it resembles a theater play. It has 3 acts. The first act is going into the known, or inputs, where you work from the past based upon what the experts in the environment already know, and you discuss this. This is typical brainstorming and the iterative process in design. The second stage is the unknown. And this is the stage where you explore into what we might best call fuzzy goals. So rather than setting, oh, we want this outcome, you say we're moving in this direction, and you allow new possibilities to emerge. It's in the second act that you cultivate different qualities of creativity within people. This is where the presence really comes in. This is where the play really comes in. Because it gets people to look at issues from a variety of different perspectives. And only after you've seen a lot of different perspectives do new possibilities emerge. That's Act 2. Act 3 is convergence. So after you've thrown up all the ideas in the room and you've explored some new possibilities and you've reframed how you see something, you have to come to an outcome. So Convergence Act 3 is when you reduce the amount of noise and ideas in a space to 1 or 2 actionable ideas. And these then are what you implement and innovate upon. This basic structure underlies Theory U, it underlies the creative roller coaster, it underlies game storming. So it's a core principle then in what we can call collective ideation processes or co-creation. Whenever you set up a co-creation, you have to think about multiple sets of people. The first people are usually the people that come to you with a challenge. We need to innovate next year on our product, or we need to revision our company, or we're having communication problems, can you help us solve it? Sure. Well, if you're going to do that, you need to involve the people that are at all ends of the process. So if it's a product, you need both the CEOs of the company, you need the designers, and you need catalysts, and you actually need the end users all in the same environment working together. So co-creation does involve co-design and operates on co-design principles as a core foundation. But it's leveling up. It's taking co-design to another level to look at the interior space of people and work on that so that people can engage each other in new ways. A central problem that you have in typical brainstorming or creativity sessions is ego. You get a group of people in the room, and either the most senior person or the most vocal person is going to end up dominating the discussion. Then maybe the best idea will come out, but maybe it won't. What if the person that was silent, that was too intimidated to speak up, actually had the best idea in the room? How do you get their voice heard? This is one of the challenges that we face. So you have to teach people to disengage their ideas from their ego. If you can have just ideas in the space without personal attachment, you can then work on those ideas and come to the best idea as a group. But you have to let go of your ego. And in order to do that, you have to recognize what your ego is and separate yourself from it. That's what the presence training does. Best is the most timely idea with the most energy behind it. So it may not be the most revolutionary idea in the room, but it's the idea that everyone in the room is willing to get behind and work on together. So it may not be the best idea for tomorrow, but it's the best idea for that moment with that group of people. When we first started, we were looking mostly at corporate clients. But over time, we've realized that co-creation is useful for 4 possible outcomes. And I've given this the anachronism LIVE: leadership, innovation, vision, and environment. So for creativity to exist in an organization, you not only need workshops. Workshops are great. Everybody has a good time. They bond together. They come up with great ideas. But what happens afterwards? If the leadership of an organization doesn't hold and create the space for the people to continue being creative, then all creativity done in a workshop is going to die. So you have to train leaders. You have to shift the mindset of organizational leadership so that they understand the nature of creativity and hold the space for their people. The innovation itself comes from co-creative activities and workshops, as well as building this in as long-term processes that are part of organizational culture. So we recommend with groups that we work with to actually carve out spaces that are dedicated to creative exploration. Instead of just having a workshop with us once a year, build an environment in your own organization that allows people to play, that allows people to have dialogue without repercussion, and you'll be more creative. V for vision. What is the future? What is the future for myself as an individual, for my company, for the world? Okay. These are big questions on all levels, and they require really deeply diving into who you are, or who we are, and what we want to be in the future. So that's an exploration itself that co-creation can help take you down that journey. When you co-create the vision of your organization with the people that work for you and the clients that you serve, it's going to be a more powerful and compelling vision than one that's driven by leadership. When we exist in organizations, we exist inside a culture. And that culture consists of our leaders, everybody that works there, and also the people that we serve. Co-creation is a tool that can help us come up with a collective vision that we're all part of, that we can all believe in. And when we do that, we're more powerful in the world. The final is E, environments, spaces. So IDEO has the chaos room. This is famous, Tim Kelly's design. Stanford has the D School. In Portland, design schools have warehouses that are freely reconfigurable. Right? So the construction of physical spaces, as well as social and cultural spaces, is really important for nurturing and fostering creativity. Boxes don't work so well. Fixed furniture or technologies will only last so long, and they force people into paradigms of thought. Spaces have to be flexible, they have to be adaptable, and most importantly, they have to be reworkable in ways that you could have possibly conceived of when you first built them. So teaching people how to build co-creative spaces is also one of the outcomes of our work. When people come into a co-creation session with a goal such as creating a creative culture or a nourishing organizational culture, the first thing you have to do with them is ask them why are they there. Why are you here is a very, very good question that we can ask ourselves and we can ask other people. And the typical answer, oh, because I was forced to come to this workshop or because I believe in this, isn't actually the right answer. There's a deeper answer inside of everyone. And the first stage of a good co-creation is to draw out that deeper purpose as to why people are in the space in the first place. So you're trying to establish two things, trust and authenticity. If you have those two things, everything else flows. If you don't have trust and authenticity, then co-creation simply won't work. So the beginning is about bonding. It's about a social space that you're creating between human beings so that they can open up and expose what they really think and feel about issues rather than what they feel is the appropriate thing to say. From there, you take people on a journey. You need to get everybody on the same page. So you have input sharing. This is Act 1, right? Where everybody shares their knowledge and their perspectives with each other so that the room as a whole comes into a collective understanding of whatever the challenge is. From there, you have to think about your personal relationship to that challenge. So a question that I like to ask people is, what is your unique contribution? Why are you here in terms of what can you offer to this process? And sit on that for a while. Day 2. So day 2 is when we explore. This is Act 2 in the theatrical play of co-creation. And this is an exploration that can take a lot of different forms. It really depends on who you're working with. So for some people, we might go deep into their personal journey and their interior state and their mind as individuals and as organizations. And activities will center on presence training. For others, we might restructure the way they think through a series of games, serious games, that get people to have fun, but also think quite differently about the knowledge that they had come to the day before. And there's a variety of techniques. Actually, this is where we're doing most of our exploration in the Co-Creation Institute, is what techniques work and flow with one another to get that process of exploration to go deep into the issue. At the end of the second day, we want to see people have prototypes. Imagine the future and work backwards from that future to the present. So a really great exercise for this is storyboarding. You close your eyes, you say, where are we 2 years from now? Okay. Now, that's great. What do I need to do to get there? And you draw it out. The creation of visual language around a process clarifies that process in everybody's minds in a group. So at the end of the second day, we want to visually communicate where everybody's going. Act 3 can occur either at the end of the second day or on a third day. And Act 3 is when you come together and you look at all of the stories and you look for the common themes and the patterns and you decide which story is most important for you as a group or we as a company to pursue for our future and for our needs. And you create one story. And this is the story that everybody has a part in. Everybody helped write this story. Everybody has a role in this story. And everybody benefits from this story. When you have those 3 things, you have a very good result from co-creation. The process of co-creation itself can be transformative, not only for organizations, but for individuals. Why? For organizations, it gives them what they want. It helps them reach goals, whether it be new visions or new design products or better teamwork with their companies. But for individuals, it can be, I think, even more powerful. Leaders recognize that there are different ways of running an organization. There are ways of actually running a company where everybody's engaged. You know, this is the black box, right? How do you create a system where everybody wants to belong and be part of it? That's a great challenge. Co-creation can help illuminate some of the pathways for that. And then individually, you learn a lot about yourself through co-creation. You learn what type of person you are, what type of role you typically play, how you react to different situations. And that bending the beam of observation back upon yourself gives you an opportunity for growth in life. So there's great potential there for change, depending on how you use it. Does it always work? No. Co-creation requires a couple things from people. The first is it requires vulnerability. If you're not willing to expose what you really believe and feel about a situation, then you're going to have your wall up, and other people are going to put their wall up, and you'll never truly communicate with each other. The second thing it requires is being authentic. You have to speak the truth, whether it's good or bad. Truth hurts sometimes, but when everybody speaks the truth, when everybody speaks from their authentic self, you create almost a magical space in the room where new potentials that you would have never thought possible just kind of pop up, and you're like, wow, where did that come from? Whenever a moment like that happens in co-creation, you know you're there. You're in the right spot. You should have these, eureka moments. Like, wow, I didn't think we could ever get along like this. That's co-creation. If you don't have that kind of eureka, some little ingredient's missing. And the first thing you should do is look back at yourself.